Hello there, my name's Brandon and I make pictures out of tiny squares. And I've spent a good deal of my holiday break playing Ghost of Tsushima. I've been having a lot of fun with that game, and so this time lapse is just a little study I did because I thought it'd be fun to try and translate some samurai poses into like a really tiny pixel art style. In this early phase, I'm just working out what kind of form I can get out of a small space like this, which ends up being just about 10 or 11 pixels tall. And what helps is that I'm blocking out different parts of the body in different colors. So there's a light shade and a dark shade within each section of clothing, and then kind of the same thing for the skin of the hands. I'm using this as a very basic lighting scheme that kind of represents which side is closest to the viewer, which will just help give it some perspective and readability. Once I had the basic standing sprite made, I began to play around with a few different poses, just kind of experimenting with different stances by mostly copying the sprite over and moving a few pixels around at a time. Because the form is very simplified, I found that the pose could be dictated primarily by the position of the hands and the direction of the sword. So most of these poses focus just on repositioning those parts first, and then kind of tweaking the footing to control the grounding or the balance of the rest of it. In general, if you're developing your own small-scale sprite work, like let's say for a game or something where you want to have very readable poses and gestures from a distance, it's important to consider the placement of key features like this in your pose construction. One of the best examples that I can think of for this kind of thing is Kirby, because he doesn't even actually have fully articulated limbs like a human character would, but he's still able to achieve readable gestures because the placement of his hands and feet provide enough context for the pose. Planning out character poses by placing down simple shapes is actually a really effective way to test out poses and dynamics before fully committing to rendering a sprite. And it can also kind of show you how the placement of hands and feet around a character can actually dictate a lot of their gesture and energy completely on their own. So with those sorts of things in mind, I just kept going, trying to experiment with different poses and angles. I added a couple where his head is turned a little bit there, pretty much what the resolution would allow for, right? But yeah, this ended up being quite a fun exercise, and I don't know, I might try to take this work and do some kind of like a low-res samurai game mock-up or something down the line. But for now, from these poses, I just whittled it down to 12 that I really liked for this final summary image. The final bit of refinement I did here was just making sure that I was really pushing some of the poses to their limits. Sometimes if you shift something over by just one more pixel, you'll get kind of that extra bit of exaggeration that really helps sell the pose. And that's especially the case at low resolution like this. And just as a final treat, I put a few frames here together just for a quick animation, and we'll take a look at that here on the Didu, which is the little 16 by 16 pixel display that I have. And I've actually got a video about this thing in case you're seeing that and you're like, what the heck is that? But otherwise, thank you for watching, and take care and keep it square.